Welcome, chosen ones. Obsession isn't admiration. It's a poison laced with envy, wrapped in denial, and served on a platter of sleepless nights. Have you ever noticed how the same mouths that once dismissed you now can't stop repeating your name? It's as if you've become their favorite unsolved riddle, a masterpiece they can't crack, a storm they can't predict. Here's the hard truth. People are drawn to what they don't understand, like moths to a flame they secretly resent. When you shattered their expectations, you didn't just rise, you rewrote the script. That burns, because nothing bruises the ego more than realizing they underestimated the very force they can't outrun. Now you live rent-free in their heads. Your name, their obsession, your success, their late-night confession, and your silence. Oh, that's the thunder in their storm. Every move you make is their new riddle. Every step you take is a question they can't answer. How did you do it? But let's get one thing straight. They don't just want the answers. They crave the magic they can't mimic, the power they'll never hold, and the strength they'll never possess. They want the fire that forged you, but they couldn't handle the heat. Stick with me, because this isn't just about their obsession with you. It's about the mirror they refuse to look into. This is your story, and their envy is just the background noise. Let's dive in. Number 1. You shattered their illusions, and now they can't look away. They lived their lives like clockwork, moving to the tick-tock of rules handed down to them. Play it safe. Don't step out of line. Respect the script, and success will follow. But you didn't just break the rules. You smashed the entire clock, rewrote time, and carved your own path in stone. That's what burns them. You didn't just win. You won your way, without begging for permission or following anyone's lead. Here's the thing. They can't comprehend it. They've been programmed to believe that approval is the currency of success. To them, the right people in the right rooms hold the keys. Yet you rose, not by bending to their rules, but by bending the world to your will. You didn't wait for an invitation. You built a door where there was only a wall, and walked through it like you owned the place. While they spent years perfecting how to fit into boxes, you refused to even look at those boxes. You turned their sacred rulebook into kindling for a fire they could never ignite. And now they're fixated. Your very existence exposes the prison they've been living in. It's not just admiration, it's resentment dressed as curiosity. You're the reminder that the chains they worshipped as security were nothing but lies, and they hate that they didn't dare break free themselves. Oh, they're watching. Every step, every move, every triumph. They're waiting to find the cracks in your armor, hoping to expose you as lucky, a cheat, or worse, a fluke. But here's the truth. They'll never find what they're looking for, because the system they cling to never had power over you. They lurk in the shadows, dissecting your success like forensic scientists, desperate to find the secret ingredient. And the secret? It's simple. You never believed in their rules to begin with. That's what keeps them awake at night. You've turned their world upside down. Every time they look at you, they're reminded of one thing. They could have done it too, but they didn't. While they waited for someone else to lead, you led yourself. They're not just obsessed with how you did it, they're haunted by why they couldn't, and deep down, they know the answer. You didn't just break the rules. You proved those rules were never real to begin with. Number 2. You turned the impossible into a quiet masterpiece. There's a special kind of torment in watching someone do what others swore couldn't be done, and make it look like a stroll in the park. That's what you did, while they drowned in excuses. Too risky, too hard, not enough time. You were busy building what they couldn't even dream of. Now they're hooked, obsessing over you like moths circling a flame, desperate to understand how you pulled off the impossible without so much as breaking a sweat. But let's be honest, it wasn't effortless. They didn't see the sleepless nights, the lonely moments, or the heavy sacrifices. They didn't hear the battles you fought in silence, the doubts you crushed, or the courage it took to keep moving forward when no one believed in you. All they see is the finished masterpiece, and it's tearing them apart inside. Here's why. They've been programmed to believe that success comes with fanfare, struggle, and permission from the world. But you skipped the applause, skipped the waiting, and delivered results that made their struggles look small. You didn't just challenge their limits. You shattered the glass walls of their self-made prison, showing them that the only thing impossible was their fear of trying. Your quiet confidence is what cuts the deepest. While they've spent their lives making excuses, sound poetic, and seeking validation for every half step forward, you simply moved. No noise, no need for applause, just action. That's a kind of power they don't recognize, but they can't ignore. It's haunting because it's foreign. They're used to over-explaining, over-compensating, and under-delivering. And you redefined the rules by never playing their game. Now they're left questioning everything. If you could turn the impossible into reality, what does that say about the limits they've accepted as truth? Your success isn't just unsettling, it's a mirror, forcing them to confront the uncomfortable reality. Maybe the limits weren't real. Maybe they were just afraid to push past them. And that's why you live in their minds rent-free. It's not celebration, it's a storm of regret. A nagging realization that while they waited for the perfect moment, you seized the moment they didn't dare touch. Now, every glance at your success is a reminder of what they could have done if only they'd been bold enough to try. This is why they're obsessed. You didn't just make the impossible look effortless, you made their excuses look hollow. And that's a truth they can't unsee. Number 3. Your growth became their greatest miscalculation. They doubted you, mocked even the thought of your success. To them, you were a footnote, a story with a predictable ending, the underdog they'd written off before the game even began. But now, your rise has flipped their narrative upside down. Every step you take is a thunderclap, shaking the foundation of the judgments they so confidently made about you. What keeps them up at night isn't just that you succeeded, it's how you succeeded. Without their approval, without their validation, and without playing by their rules. They were so certain their opinions carried weight that their doubts were enough to keep you small. But you didn't just prove them wrong, you made their opinions irrelevant. Every milestone you achieve feels like a dagger to their pride, a glaring spotlight on how deeply they misjudged you. They thought they had you pegged, but their predictions were nothing more than projections of their own fears and insecurities. They never saw your potential because they were too busy staring into the mirror of their own limitations. And now, your growth is their torment. It forces them to grapple with the ugly truth they'd rather ignore. Their underestimation wasn't about you, it was about them. They dismissed you because they lacked the vision to see beyond their narrow perspective. Your success exposes that blindness, and it burns. They're obsessing, replaying your story like a broken record, desperately trying to figure out where they went wrong. Was it something they missed? A clue they overlooked? They think that finding the answer will ease their bruised egos, but deep down, they know the truth. You didn't fit into their version of the world because you were never meant to. Their fixation isn't admiration, it's frustration. Every time you win, it feels like a loss to them, not because you've taken something away, but because you've revealed what they lacked. The courage to see beyond their doubts and dare to rise. Your growth has turned into their reckoning, a mirror reflecting their small-mindedness and fear. And that's why they can't let go. Your every move reminds them of their miscalculation, their lack of vision, and their fear of what's possible. They'll never admit it, but every one of your victories whispers the same haunting truth. They were wrong about you, and you've become everything they were too afraid to believe in. Number 4. You proved their approval was never the key. They thought they were the gatekeepers, the ones who held the golden keys to your success. Their rules, their standards, their approval. They believed you couldn't rise without bending to their will, seeking their validation, and waiting for their nod. But you didn't. Instead, you saw their so-called authority for what it was, an illusion. And then you did the unthinkable. You walked past their gates, built your own kingdom, and thrived on your terms. Now, they can't stop obsessing, not because you succeeded, but because you succeeded without them. You didn't just bypass their system, you exposed it for the powerless charade it was. They had spent years weaving a web of control, convincing themselves and others that success only comes to those who play by their rules. But you didn't play their game. You rewrote the game. And the score? It wasn't even close. What cuts the deepest is that your triumph wasn't just survival. It was undeniable, unstoppable growth. Your refusal to bow shattered their illusion of control. You thrived without their blessing, without their permission, and without even acknowledging their so-called authority. And now, they're caught in a spiral of disbelief and envy. They replay your story like a bad dream, trying to pinpoint the moment they lost control, the step you took that slipped through their grasp. But here's the truth. They never had control to begin with. Their system wasn't built to recognize strength like yours because their foundation was always rooted in ego, not vision. They couldn't see beyond their own need for dominance, and in doing so, they underestimated you entirely. What haunts them isn't just your success, it's what your success represents. You didn't need their approval because you had something more powerful: self-belief. While they were busy building walls to keep others out, you were building doors to walk through. And now, every milestone you reach, every victory you claim, is a reminder of one undeniable fact. Their approval was never the key. It was never even necessary. So they watch, obsess, analyze, and dissect, searching for a loophole to explain it all away. But they'll find nothing. Your success wasn't given. It was earned through courage, authenticity, and an unshakable refusal to conform. And that truth? It's the one thing they'll never admit, but can never ignore. You've become the proof of everything they feared, that their power is meaningless to those brave enough to choose their own path. That's why they can't stop thinking about you. You didn't just thrive without their approval. You thrived in spite of it. Number 5. You became the mirror they can't look away from for years. They built their identity brick by brick, using the blueprints handed to them by society. Their foundation, fragile, made of borrowed beliefs, external validation, and the need to fit in. Then you came along, confident, self-reliant, and unapologetically authentic. You didn't just enter the room, you illuminated it. And in that light, their carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Your presence feels like a spotlight exposing the cracks they've been trying to hide, even from themselves. It's not just envy or admiration, it's something far deeper. You make them question who they really are, and that question is like an itch they can't scratch. Your confidence reminds them of the risks they avoided. Your self-reliance underscores their dependency on approval. Your authenticity, It strips away the masks they've worn so long, they forgot what their real face looks like. The worst part is, they know. Watching you live boldly feels like staring into a mirror, but instead of seeing strength, they see everything they suppressed. They replay your words, analyze your decisions, and obsess over your success. Not just to figure you out, but to decipher why their own reflection feels so hollow. It's not really about you, it's about what you represent. You're a contradiction to everything they told themselves they needed to be. Every step you take reminds them of the freedom they traded for comfort. Every move you make shines a light on the life they chose, but no longer recognize. You don't just challenge their identity, you unravel it, thread by thread. The truth they're grappling with is brutal. The life they thought was safe now feels like a cage. The choices they believed were right now seem empty. And the existence they once clung to feels like a story written by someone else. That's why they can't look away. You've become a living reminder of what's possible, a reflection of the risks they never took, and a question they're too scared to ask themselves. What if I've been wrong this whole time? Their obsession isn't about you. It's a battle with their own discontent. Your authenticity has stirred something in them, something they've worked tirelessly to bury. Whether they admit it or not, you've forced them to confront a truth they can no longer ignore. The life they built might not be the life they truly want. And that realization, it's haunting. Number 6. You're the storm they can't predict, the peak they can't reach. They thrive in a world of patterns and predictability. Their power lies in neat narratives, pliable people, and outcomes they can foresee and manipulate. But then there's you, the wild card, the one who refuses to be defined, anticipated, or controlled. You don't fit their mold, and that drives them to the edge of obsession. Every time they think they've cracked your code, you make a move that shatters their expectations. Your unpredictability isn't randomness. It's precision, freedom, and power. It's the ultimate rebellion against their carefully constructed systems of control. To them, people are puzzles to be solved, levers to be pulled, or systems to be managed. But you're not a puzzle. You're a wildfire, and wildfires don't play by anyone's rules. They watch you, waiting for patterns, clues, or explanations, but none come. You don't overshare, you don't justify, and you don't seek their approval. This silence is deafening to them. It strips away their illusion of control, leaving them unsettled. They're used to manipulating outcomes, but you've made it clear. Their influence has no grip on you. What stings the most is that you're unreachable. Not just physically, you're emotionally and intellectually untouchable. You don't need their validation. You don't play their games. And without those hooks, they have no way to tether you. They can't control what they can't access, and that makes them feel powerless in a way they'll never admit. The harder they try to understand you, the further you slip from their grasp. They analyze, speculate, and dissect, hoping to find the key to your mind. But all they uncover is the stark truth. You don't care about their opinions, their judgments, or their rules. You live on your terms, free from their expectations. Your unpredictability isn't a weakness, it's your greatest strength. It's not chaos, it's liberation. You're free to move where and how you please, unburdened by the need to conform or explain. That kind of freedom terrifies them because it's something they'll never understand, let alone achieve. And so they obsess. You're the storm they can't forecast, the peak they can't climb, the answer they'll never find. It's not just about understanding you, It's about grappling with the unsettling realization that their power has limits. Your existence is a challenge to everything they thought they controlled, and that's why they can't stop watching. Number 7. You're the phoenix they can't burn, the force they can't stop. They've seen you walk through storms that should have broken you. They watched, some even cheered, as the pressure mounted and the odds stacked against you. In their minds, your fall was inevitable, a script they'd already written. But every single time, you tore that script apart. You didn't just rise, you soared, stronger, smarter, and more unshakable than before. Now they can't look away, not because they admire you, but because they can't understand you. You've defied everything they thought they knew about how the world works. In their version of reality, the system rewards compliance and crushes those who refuse to play by its rules. Yet, here you are, thriving, not in spite of the system, but because you broke free of it. Your resilience is a direct challenge to the fragile beliefs they've built their lives around. They can't comprehend how someone they dismissed, underestimated, and even tried to suppress keeps crashing through the barriers that were supposed to hold you back. Every victory you claim feels like a crack in the foundation of their understanding, and that terrifies them. It's not just your success that haunts them, it's how you succeed. You don't crumble under criticism, beg for approval, or fold under pressure. You adapt, you learn, you grow, and you do it with a quiet strength that leaves them reeling. Their world taught them to fear failure, to avoid risk at all costs. But you've turned every failure into fuel, every setback into a stepping stone. To them, resilience is alien. They've spent their lives avoiding hardship, believing that safety and conformity would protect them. Watching you embrace challenges and rise above them feels unnatural, even impossible. Your existence forces them to confront a truth they don't want to face. The system they worship isn't invincible, and neither are they. You've shown them that true strength doesn't come from playing it safe, but from facing hardship head-on. And that realization is unbearable for them. They're obsessed because they can't figure you out, how you keep rising, how to stop you, or even how to emulate you. But here's the truth they'll never admit. They can't stop you because you've become unstoppable. Every step you take, every storm you weather, and every victory you claim reminds them of one thing: they bet against the wrong person. And now they're watching the unstoppable force they never saw coming. Number 8. You force them to confront their own mediocrity. Your success has become their worst nightmare, a mirror reflecting everything they've avoided. Every milestone you reach reminds them of the chances they didn't take and the dreams they let die. It's not admiration that fuels their obsession. It's a toxic mix of envy, regret, and resentment. While you boldly pursued your goals, they hesitated. You embraced risks and grew through failure, but they clung to comfort, avoiding anything that might challenge their fragile sense of security. Now, your achievements stand as a glaring reminder of the courage they lacked. Instead of owning their choices, they project their dissatisfaction onto you. They tell themselves you're lucky, undeserving, or arrogant, anything to avoid admitting that you've done what they couldn't. Every victory you claim forces them to confront their own mediocrity, and that truth cuts deeper than they'd ever admit. They fixate on you because it's easier to resent your success than to face their own fears and failures. But the more they obsess, the clearer it becomes. Your success isn't a reflection of their failure. It's a testament to your courage. And no matter how much they try to tear you down, they'll never dim the light you've created. Number 9. You created something out of nothing while they scrambled to follow trends and copy what was popular. you were quietly shaping something entirely your own. You didn't chase the crowd or rely on recycled ideas. Instead, you built something from the ground up, something so original and valuable that it now stands in a league of its own. And that's what eats at them. Your ability to create value out of thin air exposes their lack of originality. They've spent their time imitating others, convinced that following the blueprint would guarantee success. But their efforts led to nothing more than tired repetitions. Meanwhile, you dared to innovate, to see potential where they saw emptiness, and to craft something the world didn't even know it was missing. Now they can't stop watching you. It's not admiration, it's disbelief. They can't understand how you accomplished what they couldn't. Your creativity forces them to confront a painful truth. Their safe, predictable approach was never going to lead them to greatness. Your success is a mirror they can't avoid, reflecting the limits of their vision and the boldness they lack. You've shown them what true value creation looks like, and that's something they'll never replicate. Number 10. You made pain your power. They waited for life's weight to crush you. They expected your struggles to define you, to leave you broken and defeated. But instead, you turned pain into power. Every failure, every heartbreak became fuel for your rise. A transformation they can't fathom. While they wallowed in self-pity and let pain trap them in cycles of doubt, you faced your challenges head-on. You didn't use your struggles as excuses or let them dictate your worth. Instead, you turned them into stepping stones, building strength where others saw only suffering. Your ability to rise isn't just impressive. It's a riddle they can't solve. You broke free of the chains they still cling to, showing them that pain doesn't have to define you. It can refine you. And that's what keeps them watching. You've turned what should have destroyed you into the foundation of your unstoppable resilience. Number 11. Your success is their defeat. To them, your success isn't just an achievement, it's a personal insult. They schemed, sabotaged, and tried to shut every door in your face. Yet, against all odds, you thrived. And now, every step you take forward feels like a slap to their pride. Your rise is undeniable proof of their failure. Every attempt they made to block you only propelled you higher, exposing their own powerlessness. They can't stand it, not because you succeeded, but because you did it without their approval, permission, or validation. Your growth is a mirror, reflecting their stagnation and lack of control. While they were busy trying to hold you back, you were building an empire. Every win of yours is a reminder of the fight they lost, the battle they thought they could win. And that's why they can't stop watching. Your victory is their deepest defeat. Number 12. Your silence is their obsession. In a world addicted to noise, your silence is a weapon they can't counter. While they thrive on chaos, arguments, gossip, and endless justifications, you deny them the satisfaction of a reaction. You let your results speak for themselves, and that quiet confidence cuts deeper than any argument ever could. They expect you to defend, explain, or fight back. But when you give them nothing, no words, no energy, no attention, it flips the script. Your silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their own insecurities and unanswered questions. Every move you make becomes a puzzle they can't solve, leaving them trapped in their own over-analysis. The less you give, the louder they get. They think their noise gives them power, but your refusal to engage strips them of control. Your silence isn't weakness, it's dominance, and they can't stop obsessing over it. Number 13. The victory. Your success is their unsolvable riddle, a constant reminder of what they couldn't achieve and what they'll never dare to pursue. Every boundary you shatter, every goal you conquer, exposes their fears, insecurities, and the dreams they abandoned. But they'll never admit it. Their obsession isn't admiration, it's fear. Fear that your life reflects the courage they lack, the risks they avoided, and the freedom they'll never taste. Your rise has become the shadow they can't escape, a haunting testament to the life they wish they had the strength to live. And here's the truth: you've already won. The moment they fixated on you, they surrendered their power. While they obsess over you, you keep building, growing, and thriving. They can't rewrite your story or control your narrative. That's your ultimate victory. They're stuck in your orbit, but you're free to keep soaring. If you felt the power of this message, if every word resonated with the truth you've always known, then you already understand. Your journey is far from over. Your strength, your resilience, and your ability to rise against all odds are what set you apart. And trust me, this is just the start. Don't let this moment fade. Fuel your fire, keep your momentum, and take this energy with you. Subscribe to this channel now, because we're only going deeper from here, uncovering truths, sharing wisdom, and unlocking the tools that will keep you unstoppable. You were born for greatness, and this is the community that's going to walk alongside you. Together, we'll rise higher, push further, and become unshakable. So hit that subscribe button, join the movement, and let's keep building. The best is yet to come. Stay strong, stay blessed. Let's rise.